Hey, thanks for writing to me. I hope you don't mind if I answer you in video format. Um, I'm a gesturer, and I hope this helps. But I'll send you a little guide to all the links that I talk about. But I can keep on helping you, and maybe we're pointing you towards different resources. So let me go one question at a time. One is, do we direct people through the library as much as possible? Not anymore. It's kind of one of those things where it's handy to know who's licensing the materials. But if you're logged in to the library, here there's off-campus access, or if you're logged into Canvas, or if you're logged into CIS, anything that makes a student do that duo authentication on their phone, that means they can go to any place like Google Scholar, and they've indexed resources that we have in the library. So let me do cognitive behavioral therapy. And then here you can see something from APA, PsycNet, Psych the Clinics. I'm looking for a scholarly journal. Here we go. Clinical Textbook of Addictive Disorders. Let's see if we have that one. So even though this isn't a scholarly article, far from it. It looks like a handout or something like that. If it's licensed and you're logged in, or the student is logged in, they have shown to all of our different vendors who authenticate, they trust us to keep track of stuff like that. So you sent me that counseling.org link. I was just like, oh, this sounds like a for-profit, and there's no way we're going to have that. So I'm going to click on it right now, and I have access to it. We've had some issues with, like, I don't know if it's counseling.com or maybe it was like psychology. There's all sorts of different variables. So the answer is maybe. When we often try and point people to the library because it's a discovery tool that doesn't look at any of your history or your cookies or your IP address. It's only based on what you're interested in by typing in those keywords. So I met with a social work class today, and we talked about that. Keyword strategies, our students really struggle with that because these days, if you do this natural language searching, you can just like throw out any old sentence and it will kind of answer your question, but it's biased towards your location, what you've looked at, what the vendor wants to push to you, and things like that. So the library homepage has a distinct advantage in that if you type in Instagram and you misspell it, I misspelled Instagram, you're only going to get those articles where people also misspelled it and they called it Instagram. So that's the one advantage. If you want to point so I'm happy to come and help your students with things like that. But if you point them to this research guide, I'll send you the link for this. I have a little video that is just for them. So from the social work guide, I'll send this URL to you, but I have keywords help in general, how to find a specific book, and a crash course in using the library. As well, this is the class that I looked at today, the social policy and things like that. I'm happy to make a guide for your specific class if you want, if there's a particular thing that you want them to find. But there's a weird internet era where things are subscribed to, and then you can access it through the library or some other places as well. But the advantage of the library, again, is you get to pick and curate what you're looking for. Second question, library articles tend to be more accessible than things like PDF copies. So Adobe, the folks that make the Acrobat that makes the PDF, they got in trouble with the 1996 American Disabilities Act. And so it's much, much better. So if you go to, let me see, I'll do that. I'll look for Instagram. So I'm looking at articles, and I want peer-reviewed journals. Let's see if we can find a PDF. No, here we go, PDF. The article's called Instagram. Even when you see this, and you can test this out with that counseling article, oftentimes the text has already been processed into an optical character recognition that I think JAWS and other screen readers and things like that can have access to. Sometimes you lose the formatting. So let me take this abstract and put it into a Word file. And let's see if it works. So I found that it often damages the formatting. No, that's not too bad. Oh no, there was a hard return right there. So it did miss some of it. So for what it's worth, on campus there's a center to help with that, but I'm also happy to work with students too. If there's any barrier that they've got, I'm here to help. Maybe help scan things better, help with this optical character recognition and things like that. So think of me if there's any issue with things like that in class. So it's kind of like again, it's a variable. One last thing is, how do we get course materials into our course without doing like URLs? So if we do this PDF file, it's going to be this nasty dynamically generated URL that no one's going to know how to use. And if you do, it could be that if somebody's outside of the library and they're not logged in, the link might not work, etc., etc., etc. So if you go to Canvas, this is a practice module that I set up. There's help with this, but you can select things for course materials. Course materials is something that appears on the side. It's the old course reserves. I don't know why they had to rename it. But if you go to the very bottom, to settings, if course materials isn't there, you go to settings, navigation, and then you can see course materials might be down here in the unforeseen list. So I'm going to put it at the very top under announcements or assignments. And then you have to go to the bottom, click save. And when you're in your course, so you can see it appeared right here, when you're in your course, there's a course name and number, and that's attached to like student records. Do they still call that PeopleSoft? It's attached to the curriculum, it's attached to the college, and there's all sorts of connections. When you're in your specific course that you're teaching and you click on course materials, it will ask you things like, do you want to set up a new course? Do you want to do the course readings and things like that? There is a step-by-step guide for that, which there didn't used to be, and it was a nightmare. So creating a new reading list, when you go to, after you've selected your course, oh, here they show you how to get to course materials. Here's how you add those things. Essentially, you're in your Canvas module, and you're looking up the article in the library, and you're clicking Add, and then it puts it over in the week that you're interested in. If you're interested in getting help with that, we have our ringer is in the College of Social Work, and I will send their name. I think there might be 2 people who help with instruction stuff like this. So you're not alone. Let's see, did I answer all of that? I think that's kind of like how all the things that I wanted to talk about. But let me know how it goes, and then have other people reach out to me. If anyone else is having a tough time with anything, whether it's students, staff, or faculty, I am happy to help.